I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I put the mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work, I got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns out with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's you lost, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed and
So today is a pretty exciting day. Today we start to get parts. Any day you get car parts is a good day. So been working on the Civic. So we finally got our first part to get this car actually to where it needs to be. So I already opened up the box, double checked, make sure everything was in here before I signed it, but I have not opened them. Probably my mistake. I needed to probably open them to look at them to make sure they weren't broken or anything like that, because once you sign for this kind of stuff, and if you open it and you figure out things are broken, then it's pretty much your responsibility and pretty much your fault if you do not claim that it is damaged, so you potentially lose out on the money that you spent on this stuff. So you always want to make sure you open the stuff, but being what this is for this car, and the box wasn't beat up at all, so I knew that unless these things are just completely made wrong, which me looking at them, I could probably be able to tell if they were actually made right or if they're gonna fit right. Then you want to mark them on the delivery sheet when they ask you to sign it. That way it is documented. We're gonna get this thing open. Price that loose. It looks like they bubble wrapped it pretty good. I'll put you guys up here. So now we got them opened. You can tell they are the side skirts for the Civic. So if you've never ordered anything like this as far as fiberglass work goes, do not expect it to be perfect made. There's going to be issues with it. Fiberglass, they pump them inside of molds and pump them out, and they split them apart. So whatever happens when they split the mold apart. So do not expect a perfect situation when you buy these parts. It's going to take a lot of body work to get them the way you want them, unless you just get lucky and you get one that's just perfect. But I've never seen in my 20 years of buying aftermarket stuff and seeing fiberglass stuff and painting cars and doing body work, I've never seen anything perfect from fiberglass. But this is what you're going to be expecting to see. And what I mean by that is, like, you can just see how awful made this kind of is in here. Like, it's not even, I don't know if you guys can notice that, but that right there, this line is not even straight. So that's gonna have to be fixed. It's like, it's kind of like got a bubbled up area right here and just not perfectly made. You can kind of tell in that crack right there. It's gonna take a lot of work to get these the way you need them. Oop. They seem pretty durable though. I mean, they seem pretty steady, but you can just tell, especially inside of here, how wonky it is, if they would stay up. So like inside of this crack right here, this body line, you can just tell how uneven it is, let's put it that way. And then there's some chips here and there on them. The back of that corner right there does not seem like it's straight at all. So that's what I noticed on that one. And then this one, it's probably the same way, but it's actually got a corner kind of buzzed down right there. But yeah, it's just, you know, chips. Again, unevenness. This one's not so bad in that right here. It doesn't look as bad as the other one. It's like it's more straight, more flush than the other one. But like I said, it's going to take some body work. Not really necessarily fiberglass work. You can get something called, what we call FiberTech is the company name. It's just short-haired fiberglass in a tube. I think you can get it in a gallon too. Not sure. And it's pretty much short-haired fiberglass that you can fill in stuff like this, like the cracks and things like that, or the edges. You can fix with that. It's the same thing as using fiberglass, or just not doing the matting and the resin. But if you get something that's actually broken, you want to use the matting and the resin. So yeah, I'm gonna get these. I'm gonna set them on the car. And that right there, you know, when they get on the car with the fenders on, set them up there, shut the doors, make sure the doors can close, and you look at all the gaps and the body lines and how they're going to fit on the car. That's really going to be able to tell how much work's going to go into this just to get these right. And these are, I'm pretty sure these are the Buddy Club side skirts. I was looking at 3 or 4 different ones, and I couldn't make up my mind which ones I wanted. And I debated on going like the Buddy Club, the first Buddy Club front bumper on this, just to have the bumper, because I like the front bumper on the Buddy Clubs. Not the second one, the first version of it. I really like how that front bumper is, because the grill and everything's kind of fiberglassed in with it, so it's like one piece, so you don't have to worry about putting the grill in there, fitting all that stuff too. But I'm thinking I'm just going to use my original bumper on those two, but we'll see. And my other plan was to see how well these side skirts fit on the car to really determine if I need to actually mold them on, or if I can get away with somehow putting them on there and making them to where I can get them off and on without molding them on. That way, if I ever need to like swap fenders or anything like that, or if I do anything, the side skirts aren't actually molded to the body of the car and the fenders, and I can pop them on and off if I need to. I've seen a lot of builds where they're able to get these on to where they're just, you know, bolted on or whatever without being fiberglass into the car. But fiberglass them into the car just makes everything so sleek. Back in the day, like when I was first getting into this stuff and the body kit scene and everything like that, we would always just run front bumpers because we don't want to have to deal with the fiberglass parts of the side skirts and the rear bumpers, and then hitting something in the country and then just cracking everything. So we would just do like the front bumper route. And it would look cool too. But a lot of guys that did do the side skirts and the whole body kit, they would always fiberglass and body mold the side skirts onto the car and then leave the front bumper and the rear bumper just the bolt-on part. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes the parts are really janky, and sometimes people want the whole body kit molded into the car. Just something like that. You got to take the risk of, like, if you hit something, then you're really pretty much fixing it and then repainting the entire car almost, or half of the car at least, because everything's molded in together. So we would always just kind of mold the side skirts on if we did do that way. Because 9 times out of 10 these things just don't fit that well on the car, and the only option is to do a ton of work to it to get them to look okay, or just mold them onto the car and be done with it. That way that you don't have to worry about anything not fitting right. You can always just cut them where you need them to be and go on that route with it. So that's the whole thought process with this stuff, is don't expect anything perfect and expect a lot of work to be done. If you're doing it yourself, you can take your time, you know, you can figure it out on your own, which way you want to go with it. If you take it to a shop, a lot of shops won't mess with this stuff anymore unless it's like a custom shop. But around here we have like really no custom shops that do this stuff. So it's usually a guy that has been doing it for a while, and that's just what he does, this aftermarket stuff. But a lot of shops just don't want to touch it. So yeah, that's just forewarning you that you know, when you buy this stuff and you're wanting to do this stuff to your car, it's not going to be where it's paint ready. It's not going to be anything that's going to be able to be slapped on your car and go down the road unless you really don't care what it looks like. But 9 times out of 10 it's not going to come in the way you want it, so expect a lot of work. So just like I expected, this kit does not fit at all. It's actually pretty bad. Now I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna get you guys off this tripod here. I'm gonna show you guys everything. It looks like this kit needs the OEM side skirts on, because you guys can see the silver is where the factory side skirt fits. So it's like these side skirts are made to have those on there. So it's actually not up really high, it's more lower. So when I do the other side, I'm gonna put the factory side skirt on it, because it looks like that's what's gonna have to happen. But you can tell, like, this isn't really, I mean, you gotta really press it on the side here. So we gotta figure out somehow, some way to get this on there. Obviously, we're probably just really bond it at first and see if it'll hold. But the back here is it's a lot, it's gonna be a lot of work. The back, this line up here is not so bad right here. We can always shave what we need off shave and transform it a little bit. But I mean, it's not terrible. I can't say it's terrible, because at first I had this so high up here, this indentation was hitting the car right here. And then I was like, wait a minute, maybe it needs to be lower and it takes the factory side skirt with it. That would make a lot more sense. And then this kind of tucks and kind of rides on this pinch weld that the factory side skirt kind of just blocks, because the factory side skirt will actually clip into here and it'll kind of go underneath the car a little bit. So I'm just thinking, is it really supposed to go this way? To me, when you look at it, yes, it's supposed to be that low, because, you know, that's what a body kit usually does, is make everything super low. It just makes it look like the car's lower than the ground than actually what it is, because it adds so much depth to it. But I still not sure, until I do the other side real quick, I'm not sure if that factory side skirt is supposed to be on there. I really need to look at some pictures of this Buddy Club side skirt to see how the other pictures are done, because usually when they show you pictures of these, they're on the car is painted, it's like a show car picture. So I need to really see how this is actually all on there, because if it's supposed to go up higher than what it is, then they want you to cut out the quarter panel to let that inlay kind of sit in there. They're wanting you to do a lot of cutting to make this thing, to raise it up to where it's flush with the inside of the door jamb. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. See how lower it is? So the factory side skirt goes up to here. So they want you to I mean, that's the way it looks like that it's made. It's supposed to, like, this lip is supposed to sit on here, but when you put the factory side skirt on here, it actually goes over this pinch weld and goes underneath the car. So there, you would almost have to trim this completely off right here. Trim all of this off to where it's really wavy, that I was mentioning earlier. And then it's supposed to just hug against that factory side skirt. So I'm gonna really look at some pictures, do some more research on it. But I'm gonna go ahead and set up, I'm gonna take this side off actually, since I've already built it. I'll put the factory side skirt up there, and I'll put this back up there, and I'll show you guys. So I got the factory side skirt on there, and the way I think it's supposed to go, but it's not really allowing it to because of how this back is made with the quarter panel. So what I did was I jumped online, and this is how it's supposed to be, because all the pictures I've seen, not necessarily, you're supposed to not, the factory side skirt's not supposed to be in there, is what I'm gathering from pictures. So I pulled up a picture here. You can kind of see it, that it is supposed to go right up to that door jamb for the door to open. So the factory side skirt's not supposed to be on there at all. and that piece is supposed to be made a little bit better to where it slips underneath that door jamb and just kind of tucks inside of the door. See how it's supposed to be? So without the factory side skirt, it's supposed to be taking this off and put this on there, and this edge is supposed to be where the factory side skirt is. So it's supposed to tuck up underneath there evenly and make that solid. But this whole thing back here is not allowing us to do this, because by the pictures I've seen, this part is supposed to tuck inside of here evenly. So we're not able to get that done the way it is now. It's supposed to be kind of like this, I guess. Well, it's supposed to be in there like this, kind of at an angle. So it's supposed to be flush inside of there. So, I mean, I guess with some trimming inside of here, because this is what's really stopping it. It's not really necessarily the factory side skirt stopping it, but it's this right here, along with some of how this scoop, that design is made for this. But I think it's on there now, and I think if you get it enough and you body work it enough, you could probably get it really, really close to where it needs to be. But this thing is kind of just, I mean, it needs a lot of love. Let's put it that way. It needs a lot, because it is, once you get one side right, the other side wants to pop up, so it's kind of bowed out a little bit, so it's not perfectly made. So I'm going to test with the other side and see what it looks like, see if it's made any better, and we'll go from there. So this side is definitely a lot better as far as like things fitting where they should. Like the door gap is the biggest thing that I notice, along with the back end of it. The front end's pretty simple. It's not really complicated like the back of it is, where it's got that scoop going in. And you're not supposed to cut that out, by the way. It's supposed to be there the way it is. But the door gap and then the back, the way that piece fits up. But a lot of it does have to do with these back handles. They don't cut the body line out of the car for you, so they just pretty much make it flat. So when I go to cut this notch out of here, it'll actually form up better. It's just that's stopping it right now. So once I get that cut out notch to where everything's nice and good, and the other side's kind of the same way, that notch not being cut out is really messing with this going in, which isn't making this. This is wanting to bow out towards me. So it's really preventing it to actually going flush. But this side's not too bad. I messed with a little bit, taped it in the door jamb. It's not as in, like the backing material on the side skirt needs to be a little bit longer to actually hit the car on the inside of the door jamb part. But it's actually not too bad. I mean, it's doable. But is it doable to where I don't have to mold it on the car? I'm gonna say probably no, because I'm gonna be open, you know, I want the doors open. If I could take it to like a car show or whatever, I'm gonna be seeing it with the doors open all the time, because I'm the one driving it, getting in and out of it. So I don't want it to not be flush. You know, you can pretty much do the body work on this thing, get it perfectly as far as the form and the shape of it, and get it on the car. And then on these, there's two screws that go inside the fender well on the back end of the quarter panel, and the fenders, the front fenders. And that's pretty much it that holds these on. The factory side skirt has clips that goes into it, and it clips in, and then it's just those 4 screws on one side that hold it on. So there's not much. So you can probably, if you're not really, really picky, you could probably just body work it, get it to where it looks nice and perfect, put the screws in it, shave what you need to shave off of it, and you could probably rock it like this. And going down the road, nobody's gonna notice it. I mean, honestly, nobody will notice it. But I'm putting so much time and effort in this car where I don't want little stuff like that to kind of stand out. I want that stuff to be as good as I can make it, and I'll show you what I mean. Especially, I mean, obviously like this, once I cut this out, this will kind of go in a little bit better, but this has got a bigger gap inside of here. It's not like, I wouldn't say it's huge, but it is a gap. So, and some of that might close up when I cut this off too and trim the front. So before I do anything, that's my first step, is to kind of notch this out and make it to where it's actually flush against the car, and I'll see what the rest of this does. But this right here, it's just not going to be, it's not going to be good enough to work with, obviously. But yeah, when the door's closed, you see it, but you don't really notice it. But little stuff like that you want to take care of. But yeah, that's it. And I went ahead and threw the front bumper on it, and I just pretty much clamped it on with the sides of the fenders, and you can kind of see it taking shape a little bit, which, I mean, those side skirts do go pretty well. It seems like the side of the bumper where it flares out right here, it's going to go really well with the side of the side skirt. Some of these kits, another reason why I went with this kit, a lot of these side skirts on these kits, they tend to flare out down here at the bottom, which I don't know if it's a fitment issue or what, but a lot of the ones I've seen, they're built to flare out down here at the bottom of the side skirt. I don't know why, but I notice it when a car is parked. It looks goofy, and a lot of times the side skirts don't go with the bumpers, which means if the side skirt is flared out that much, giving you like maybe an inch and a half more material sticking out like this down at the bottom of it, and it gradually does that. The front bumpers never do it, they're always flat. So this side skirt's pretty much flat as you can get it compared to the ones I've seen that you could actually buy. So that's why I went with this one, because I want it to kind of match the side of the bumper, because the side of the bumper is, it's got more material on it going out, but it's flat. It's not flared out, it's none of that. It's all flat, so it'll go really well with this bumper. And if it don't, you know, I can always purchase, like I said, the Buddy Club front bumper, but this front bumper is so rare, I'd hate not to use it. It's just got a lot of imperfections as far as like the fitment, because, so I'll give you the backstory on this car. This car is originally a 2000 Civic EX, right? So in order, and I've always wanted this bumper. I had it on my original car back in high school. It was like the coolest bumper at the time. Nobody really had one. There was like 3 people in my town that had them. One was being me, but the other ones, the cars didn't really last long. They got pretty much wrecked and damaged, and they weren't around very long. But mine had it on there for a pretty long time. But the this bumper today it's only made for 96 to 98. If you know anything about Civics, the whole front end from 96 to 98 to a 2000 is a different style. The headlights are all different, the fenders are different, which means the hoods are different, which means the front bumpers are different. So the frame on this car is made for a 2000 Civic, so everything's a little different, and I haven't really cut anything on the car yet, so the bumper on this doesn't fit perfectly to the front right here. You can see it doesn't really, there's the piece of metal that sticks out where the factory bumper bolts into. They're actually just push clips. So, and then but there's gonna have to be a lot of modding to get this to where it's actually flush. Same way with the grill. The grill is from a 96, and it just doesn't go really well with this bumper. It needs a lot of trimming done to it, because this bumper there's so much of a gap here, and I want this thing to be like almost perfect. So it's got the bumper itself in the front needs to go up. And that's one thing that's kind of bad about some of these polyurethane bumpers. They tend to sag a lot because they weigh a lot. So over time, they tend to sag a ton. And this one has sagged a lot because I ran this on the car before I did any of this. It's been on the car for a few years of me daily driving it. And it's over time, the heat and everything's just sagged on there. So I'm gonna have to modify this front to where it's gonna be up, mold the grill into it to make it all one piece, and that grill is essentially going to be helping that bumper stay up. Because the grill and the hood, as far as like the body lines and stuff go, it's not bad. Like, it's doable. Like, once I cut this, I'm going to cut this out obviously. Once I cut this out, this will actually bow and conform better. It's just this metal section is holding it up right now, so it doesn't look the greatest. But once I do that, actually I might even order a new grill, because this one's not really, I mean, it's not bad, it's not terrible, but you can definitely make it to where it's a lot better. There are better ones out there, and they're cheap. They're like 30 bucks to buy a new grill. And then obviously like stuff like this has got to get fixed, and that's going to fix when the, you know, you push this front end up, get it where it needs to be. The sides are going to come up a little bit touch, so it's getting there. It just needs a lot of little stuff here and there. But I'm debating to whether what could go with molding these. Obviously we need a rear bumper now too, so yeah, it's just a lot of tedious work. So if you're getting into this type of stuff on your own and you're not having a shop do it, or if you're having a shop do it, just plan on them having to do a lot of body work. It's not easy. It's a lot of time. It's time consuming. So like molding stuff onto cars is still a lot of work, but it's usually the way to go when you're working with aftermarket fiberglass parts, like bumpers and stuff like that, and side skirts. It's just, it makes it almost easier when it's, even though it's more work, because you got to make sure it's going to be able to stay on there for the entirety of the car's life. You don't want it cracking out. You want it to be sturdy, durable, driving down the road. So you really got to reinforce it when you do that stuff. But that's the only thing that makes it really tedious, and to make sure it fits really well. But at that point, if you're molding something onto your car, such as like me on these side skirts, you can cut, you can chop almost anything you want off of them and make it your own, because you're pretty much rebuilding that side skirt onto those body parts of the car. So you can pretty much do what you want when you get to that stage. You can chop off, you can make an extra body line. I had a friend back in the day that took 2 side skirts and they molded everything onto his car, and he took 2 different aftermarket side skirts, cut them in half, like literally like horizontal, not vertically in half, but horizontally in half, and molded 2 side skirts together and made it like a one-off custom side skirt piece. So that was really cool. You can do stuff like that if you really don't mind doing the extra work and you want something really one-off. Molding things allows you to do a lot more than just bolt it on the car and go. So yeah, I just want to make this video because I knew this was going to transform the entire car and get it all back together. So it looks really, really cool. It's coming together, gets you excited to get this stuff done and get jamming on it. But this is going to be really tedious. So if you guys want to see the process I'm going to take into getting this thing molded onto the car, let me know in the comments, because usually I don't show a lot of stuff that will take me a lot of time to do, because it's monotonous, and for me doing it, it's just me doing it, right? Like I don't think about it. But as far as you guys watching it, like if you're sitting at home watching it or at work or whatever, it's kind of just boring. So I don't want to bore you guys as much with doing that little stuff. Or maybe I can just make a short video like this one and kind of do like key points on how to mold stuff onto cars, because it's really not, it's not as complicated as a lot of people make it. You just, like I said, you got to make sure it's durable and it's got the strength it needs to be able to go down the road and not crack out over time or anything like that. So you got to really stabilize it really, really well to the car. And one way I'm going to do that with this is I'm going to probably take the factory side skirt and panel bond them inside of this side skirt. If I can get away with it, I will panel bond it into this. That way those clips on the factory side skirt will clip into the car, giving it more strength for one. And then the factory side skirt is actually made to be a little bit stronger, because it's a different type of plastic. They're not fiberglass, so they're made to hold, and it's made, the way it's shaped is just made to hold really well. So it's going to give it that extra strength. I'm just going to have to cut the top of that. I might have to cut almost half of it off and then overlay it on top, or lay it inside these side skirts to get it to actually go in there correctly the way it needs to be and the way the side skirt needs to be inside the car. So that's probably what I'm going to do to this. And then at that point, once I get that part done, I can just take it on and off the car and trim here and there a little bit, and then figure out how much I need to cut in certain areas. And then after I do all that, because you don't want to do any of your cutting right away, you just want to do a little bit and make sure it fits on the car first before you start doing any of your cutting. So that's probably what I'm going to do. If you want to see that stuff, you want to know little tips and tricks on how to do this stuff, it's like I said, it's not hard. It's just time consuming, and it takes a lot of effort. It's not something you can just do in a weekend. Maybe you can if you're a really good body guy, you can do it. I hate doing body work, so I'm gonna take my time doing it and figure out the best way to do it, because once you get it on the car and it's molded, you can't go back. You pretty much got to cut it off, and at that point it just makes a mess. You pretty much ruined everything on the car almost. Yeah, so yeah, I'll end up probably making a video of that, but let me know down below if you guys want to see something like that on how to mold side skirts onto your car and actually make it one piece. But I'm rambling on. I'm gonna end it here, and I'll see you guys on the next one.